Hey guys, this is Danny Boy. So this time around we'll be using the Geth Pulse Rifle. To quickly compare it to the Avenger, it weighs more, has greater capacity, much greater fire rate, lower damage, greater accuracy. And I believe this weapon actually has the highest capacity of any of the traditional assault rifles, any of the standard spray and pray bullet hose assault rifles. And practically speaking, it actually has the lowest recoil, I think, of any of the assault rifles, even lower than the Facetin. So once you acquire this weapon, and as you can see, it is literally better than the Facetin in every possible way, it's best to just stop using the Facetin and use the Geth Pulse Rifle. But let's start out and fire it from the hip at point-blank range. And as you see, we have a bit of a problem. This weapon does not leave bullet holes. That makes it pretty hard to demonstrate. Fortunately, this weapon does have very visible projectiles and very visible impacts. So hopefully I can still do my best and just demonstrate with what I have. But I'm not going to say that any of this is necessarily conclusive or definitive because I have no bullet holes to work with, so what can you do? But anyway, from the hip, you can see that fired in burst or fired in full auto, this weapon really has pinpoint accuracy. And as you can see, this weapon reloads very slowly. Oh, you are far too far away. Come back. There we go. It's now short range. And we are starting to get a noticeable spread, especially on the full auto. So I would say that at short range, you could probably full auto center mass, but if you really want accurate headshots at short range from the hip, I would fire in bursts. Let's try mid-range. Noticeable spread, but I would say bursts are certainly still effective for center mass. Not so much for headshots. For full auto, it's pretty well all over the place. We're getting shots up there, down there. And I would say at mid-range, you probably want to just fire in bursts and aim for center mass. You could try going for headshots. You'll hit, but it won't be very efficient. And again, this is all from the hip, so let us continue on. I have a feeling we are going to be reaching this weapon's effective range very shortly. Definitely should not bother with headshots at mid to long range. And bursting the torso, you'll make hits, but they're going to be very... It's going to be very inefficient, and keep in mind that this weapon actually does less damage than other assault rifles, so you do not want it to take, 40 shots to kill somebody. In full auto, it's just done. It's all over the place. You're over here now, in between the boards, in this open space. It's just not happening. So let's try long range. So either bursting or firing full auto, I would say long range is well beyond this weapon's effective range, and same with mid to long range. It's really not happening. I would say from the hip, you would want to fire full auto at point blank range and aim for the head. At short range, you could either burst for the head or full auto the torso, and at mid range, you're probably best just bursting the torso. Beyond that, I wouldn't bother. This weapon takes far too many shots to kill opponents to waste that much ammo. So let us now move on to the sights. Oh, don't really need to reset, do I? So as you can see at point-blank range, either in full auto or in burst, this weapon has pinpoint accuracy, even more so than other assault rifles. Fired down the sights. And same goes for full auto and burst at short range. You could definitely go for full auto headshots at short range when aiming down the sights. Definitely a huge improvement over just the hip, and I would say you can still full auto headshots at mid-range with this weapon when aiming down the sights. From mid to long range. Starting to get noticeable spread, but it's not terrible. Getting as far as up here maybe, over there, but most are definitely within our target. And I would actually say you could probably still full auto for the head, even at mid to long range, but it will definitely be far less efficient than just bursting. Bursting will be far more accurate, I would say. But yeah, I think it's still probably doable. Interesting. Very accurate weapon. Interesting. Well, I would say that you can probably still full auto the torso, though it would definitely be better to fire in bursts to conserve ammunition, exercise some trigger discipline. It'll be far more accurate if you do so. But you can definitely still burst for headshots at long range with this weapon with just the sights. Interesting. This is a spectacularly accurate assault rifle. More so than even weapons like the Matak or the Vindicator. Very, very accurate. Let's see if a scope helps matters. See if it benefits. Point blank range. Still pinpoint accuracy, nothing new, nothing interesting. And same. See if things are improved at mid-range. Definitely can still full auto the head at mid-range with the scope. And I would say you can still full auto the head at mid to long range. And it might be a little bit of a tighter grouping with the scope than without, but we were able to do that, I would say, with just the sights. So it's not necessarily necessary. Seems to be about the same. And again, I would say that's probably about the same. So really, practically speaking, I don't think a scope really makes this weapon that much more accurate than just with the sights. I would say you really should only use a scope if you just are more accurate yourself when you can zoom in and that helps you. But, alright guys, to summarize, this was the Geth Pulse Rifle, and I apologize that none of this is definitive and I could only give you guesses and estimations and whatever, but no bullet holes, so what can you really do? This was the best that I could give you. So, this weapon at point blank, or rather from the hip, can be fired full auto and make headshots at point blank range. At short range, it's probably better to burst for headshots rather than firing full auto, or go for full auto for the center, for the torso. At mid to long range, or rather just at mid range, I would probably just burst for the torso, and anything beyond that, and random heavy melee, anything beyond that, I would not use this weapon from the hip. And whether firing with a scope or with just the sights, you can full auto for headshots up to mid to long range. At long range, it's probably best to just burst for the head or to full auto the torso. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching, stay tuned for more, and have a